Leeds, Leeds, Leeds. What is happening? Welcome to Working Hours, a show about a place called Leeds, a time called now, and an activity called work. Working Hours wants to record 1,000 loiners over the course of this, the most important decade in the history of the human species, and ask them about what they do all day and hear how they feel about it. My mission is to try to map out what my city, Leeds, a city that has declared a climate emergency, is doing during humanity's biggest emergency. On Working Hours, we hear how loiners have, are, and will be coping with our multiple crises: the global pandemic, Brexit, and of course, the ongoing and accelerating collapsing of capitalism, the state, and the climate through this decade. To do this, I need people like you, dear listener. Most of all, I need people who are in Leeds or who are from Leeds to come on this show and be my guests. So please join me and help me with this mission whenever and however you can. Critically, I will need people like you, dear listener, as financial backers. Please consider supporting or donating to this project. You can do so with a £1 monthly donation via either Patreon or Ko-fi, or you could donate any one-off amount to Working Hours via either Ko-fi or through the LibrePay button on the About page of Western Studios website. Thank you. My name is Simon, and this is all my fault. What did you want to be when you grew up?
So for me, it's a bit of a weird one, because when I was in my the beginning of high school, I really wanted to be an engineer. When I'm thinking about it now, I don't really have a reason why I wanted to be an engineer. I just really wanted to be one. But that frazzled out by the time I was in year 9, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, I've had the goal to be a political journalist.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about a 14-year-old wanting to be a political journalist, it sounds a bit weird. Why do you want to be that out of all people? But yeah, since I came to that choice, I guess I've been on track. So I think that's the only goal I've had, and I'm close to achieving that goal now. So
you're listening to Series 3, Episode 41, and to my guest, Madihah Hussain. This is another Zoom interview recorded on the 17th of November 2022. Hello, loves. So, you've heard plenty of jaded cynicism from me through this show so far. So for a change, let's hear from someone fresher to working. It's also another name check for Open Source Arts, who now have the highest number of guests from any organisation on the show. Actually, I don't know if that's true now that I say it, because Myra is in sale and loads of people are involved in Leeds climate stuff. Anyways, Madihah Hussain is a third-year journalism student at the University of Leeds. Alongside her studies, she is currently completing the Marketing and Communications part-time internship with Open Source Arts. Madihah hosts a weekly radio show every Saturday on Fever 107.3 FM. Additionally, she freelances as a henna artist on select occasions. Madihah is also working on a documentary feature as part of her dissertation project. It is a short piece that explores the relationship between marriage and freedom in British minority communities. You can find out more about Fever FM at radioasianfever.com or follow them on Twitter at twitter.com/fever_FM. Anyway, this is a nice brisk episode. So let's crack on with this episode of Working Hours with Madihah Hussain. So what is it that you're doing now?
So in terms of actual paid work that I'm doing, I'm currently doing an internship. It's a marketing and communications internship at Open Source Arts in Leeds. So they're little, they do a little bit of everything. So they do circus stuff, art stuff, just a bit of that kind of sort of stuff. Yeah, so I'm currently doing social media and some marketing bits for them. In terms of unpaid work, I'm currently volunteering as a radio DJ at Fever FM every Saturday. So first I was there on a placement actually, for my uni module. And then I decided to stay on. So whilst I was on placement, I was doing 2 shows a week with a colleague as well. And then when she left, I took over her show. Then I eventually got my own show. So that's how that's been going on. And then beyond that, I'm just at university, being a uni student. But beyond that, I'm not really doing an awful lot, I guess.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a fair bit already, to be fair. I mean, you're also doing, like you mentioned in your email to me, that you're also doing sort of henna art on the side as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's not like something that I do often. It's more of like a when I can,
Mm.
because it does like take a lot of work. There was one time that I did a bride and it took me a good 9 hours.
God.
And then I've done like my sister's henna for the wedding and it took me 2 days to finish because
Gosh,
I
yeah.
kept getting really tired in the middle. And it's nice to do, I guess, but I don't do it often. It's more of like a side
Yeah.
hustle kind of thing.
Yeah.
On Eid, like twice a year. If there's like a family occasion, I'll do it then. Then so I really wanted to like take it as like a proper little side business, but it's a lot of work, I guess. And it takes a toll on like your body. So that's just like why I kind of stopped doing it as much. But I'm slowly trying to get back into it.
So I suppose we'll start with the degree then, because I'm guessing, because you said you're interning, so I'm guessing the internship comes as part of the degree, like you're doing that internship as part of your degree. Is that right?
No, actually. So this is just it's through my university, but it's not like as part of my degree.
Okay.
But for my degree, I had to go to the radio station, which is why I'm doing like why I've got that whole volunteering gig going on.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I'm doing journalism at uni. That's why I had to do like a media sort of company. That's why I just picked an easy option. I went with a radio station that I listened to already, and yeah, that's why that's going on. But the internship was just to have something to do, because by being in third year, I don't really have an awful lot at uni going on.
Mm.
Like I think this week I'm in once a week.
Mhm.
So it's very like mellow and chilled out. But my second semester is obviously a bit more jam packed. But I just need something to do. So it's only like a 10-week internship, once a week. So it just gives me a little bit to do.
Mm. So how are you finding the sort of expectation versus reality? Like is working on the radio show, is that sort of how you expected it to be? Like what are the kind of differences that you're noticing, and like is work, or the work that you were expecting, is it how you expected it to be?
So in terms of the radio station, to be honest, I've never seen myself doing unpaid work
Mm.
because it's just not for me, I guess.
Mm.
But my placement, it was unpaid. And because of that, I really, really did not want to be doing any more unpaid work, especially for that company. But I ended up liking radio presenting more than I thought I would.
Mm.
And if anything, because I'm not like earning anything, I guess, I am like getting experience.
Mm.
And because of the nature of my radio show, it's more of like, it's kind of like how we're talking right now. It's really chill and you can just do whatever you want. So I just use it as like a downtime kind of thing.
Mm.
It works out for me because it's only like a 5-minute drive from my house. So I'm not really having to make a lot of effort to like go out and do it. It's just like pop in and then pop right out. So
yeah, so tell us a bit about the show. So the show's all on your name. Are you interviewing people, or are you just speaking? Like, what's the form?
It doesn't really have a format like right now. So I've been doing my solo show since the end of August / beginning of September. So each show is 2 hours long. And when I was doing it with my colleague, we were obviously having a bit more of like a back and forth type of thing. But it's just been me, and I'm trying to like, navigate how I want the show to be, because it's just a bit like weird. Because if I settle on something now, I kind of feel like I have to like continue with that for the entire time that I'm doing it. And I don't really want to do that. So I like change it up a little bit. But it's just like chatting about like my week, what I've been up to, and then talking a little bit about current affairs, like UK politics, stuff like that. But it's not like, it's more of like a conversation, I guess, like you'd have with a friend. But it's just really chill and just interacting with like the viewers, well, listeners actually, just speaking with them and playing music. That's it.
I mean, would you want to sort of stay in the radio route with your journalism, or like where do you see? Because I imagine still in your mind, your route is journalism. You want to still go into that, and this is all part of that course. Would you be like, just any sort of journalism? I just want to be working in journalism. I mean, obviously you said political, but does it have to be for a national paper? Like, what's in your mind? Like, what's the image of yourself in the future? Like what kind of journalism and for what formats and so on, I suppose.
So it's funny that you asked me that, because I'm currently going through like an internal turmoil about what I should be going into, because I do enjoy like radio and I enjoyed journalism, but for my internship, I found that I really enjoy like working in marketing and social media and stuff like that. So I've currently got like those two options like weighing in my head, I guess. And like the deadline for applying for a master's is approaching, and I'm just picking, trying to see like what is best for me. So far I'm leaning towards going for a marketing master's. And despite going for like a marketing master's, I want to get a job in journalism first, if that makes sense. And then once I've done a couple of years doing journalism, then moving on to marketing, because that's just what happens in the industry. Like a lot of people who are working as journalists tend to move on with their career and go into marketing. So I think that's like the career path, I guess. And in terms of radio, truthfully, radio is better for me. Like I'm not like an on-camera type of person. I get the giggles really easily, so I can't like be on camera myself. Like I've tried, like it's not like I'm not tried. I have tried, but it just is not for me. I'm more of like a behind the scenes person when it comes to like working on TV. But radio is something I really, really enjoy, and I didn't think that I would, because I have an uncontrollable fear of speaking, because I have a stammer, and so it is like a bit of a daunting thing for me, I guess. But like through uni and like through the radio show, I'm just like building my confidence a little bit, and just slowly getting there. So if I do go into like journalism, I'm either planning to go through the radio route or through like written articles, whether it's like a print newspaper or like an online magazine, something like that.
Let's crack on with questions, see what comes up, and then maybe we can kind of go back into anything that we need to explore a little bit further. So we'll start off with social media, because I think this, it ties in nicely to what you're doing for the internship and what you just said. So what I want to look at here, and it'd be interesting from your perspective, because obviously you're going into work, like social media has always kind of existed for you, I would guess. So my question normally is like, as more and more of us have to spend more time on social media, do you find that the work that you do online for social media work and so on, does that give you a good return on investment for the time? Again, this might be a little difficult for you to answer, but what I want to look at is it immediately obvious to you that when you're doing social media work, that is giving benefit? Like this work, I do it, it's seen by X many number of people, it gets X many results. Like I can see this happening. Like, do you get that sense? I'm guessing that the answer is yes.
Yeah. So I think it depends on like what you're trying to achieve with social media, because it's very different things. So I think my first experience with like a successful transaction, I guess you could say, through social media is, I want to say like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was super into like Korean music and collecting albums and stuff like that. And I started like trading and like selling the albums and the cards and stuff. And then through that, I became a group order manager. So me and a couple of people that I know, we would like order together, and it would just like help us save on like shipping and customs fees, I guess. And then like through that, I created like a little market, I guess, getting things from Japan, because I was like the first person like to create orders from Japan, like to here, I guess, like the collecting community. But that like really set in for me, like you can actually do things with social media. And with like my henna business, I guess, at first I like tried to like post on social media, but I gave up really, really quickly with that, because I realized that like I don't want to like put too much work into my henna business. So I just turned it into like an online archive, and I just post like pictures of my work just to like keep track of like what I'm doing and stuff. I think I ended up doing like, I think maybe 400 like people's orders. So it was like quite a lot for like someone who's like 17, 18. But it was just like interesting, and it just gave me like that sense of you can really like do something. And since then I have been interested, but I didn't have like much opportunities to like explore it before I started my placement. So at my placement through uni at the radio station, what I was actually doing was mostly like social media posts and like YouTube and stuff like that. And truthfully, with like that, it didn't really work out as well, because the managing director, he didn't really have like much of a direction, I guess. And it was very like stuck in 2010, like that kind of vibe. And although they wanted to like move forward, they were very much like stuck in the past, trying to stick to like the old practices. And that is like difficult to translate into social media. So that didn't really work out as well at all. But working at my current, my internship, it's been going really, really well. So I've put them onto TikTok, and we're like slowly like getting on there. But yeah, so we've just posted, I think, 5 videos since yesterday. But it's slowly getting there. And I've been like creating like guidelines and stuff to like clean up their social media page. And it has worked very, very, very well. So I created a post to them about their membership scheme. And the post that they had before that was also about their membership scheme. The old post, I think it got 13 likes, and no one like actually inquired about anything. But when I like recreated the post, it ended up getting 90 something likes. And we had around 10 inquiries, and a couple actually booked with the business. So it has worked, and it has kind of like it is actually working. So I know that I'm doing something right. But since seeing that, I guess it is like just motivating me, I guess, to like continue with what I'm doing. And hopefully once my internship ends, I am going to like try and extend it if I can. If not, I'm going to move on to a different marketing internship, just to fully like check in with myself if that's like the route I actually want to go down through, or if it's just that I enjoy like doing it for this particular business, or like what's going on. Because I feel like just 10 weeks isn't enough for me to like know about it, since I'm only in once a week. So it's just like, let me like, either just look because they're established already, or is it just my work? Like what's going on? Like it's just for me to figure out. So I do think it's definitely good.
Again, difficult question to answer, but I mean, I suppose, if you think of all the hours that you put in terms of your social media practice before working, do you need that like loads and loads of hours to actually know what you're doing?
I think it definitely helps. But I also think that it's something that if you like learn on the job, if you have someone to teach you, you can learn it really, really quickly. But for like myself, it was just learning it on my own and learning how to do things on my own, because I didn't really have like guidance, because it's just my little silly 17-year-old project kind of thing. But obviously once you're in like a working environment, you will like have colleagues who have probably done a bit of this and done a bit of that. So when you have like training, I guess it's a lot easier to pick it up. But I guess you do have to be like computer and like social media literate enough to begin with, because if you're starting from scratch, I think it's very like difficult to like grasp things. And because a lot of the colleagues that I work with, some of them are older and they don't really like know how to like take pictures properly, take videos properly, that that you can use on social media. Is very much like just bang what you can out and like leave it at that. Like it's not like fully like thought out strategy. And that's what I'm like currently trying to get them to like work on. I bring it up at every meeting, like, can you please do this properly? Can you please do that properly? But it's just like, I don't know if it's like they don't have time to do it or something like that, but It is very much something that you need to have a little bit of beforehand. But I guess if you do like try hard enough and put enough time into it, you can pick it up quick.
I guess you're in a hard position because you're in that, you know, sort of coming into a workplace where you're given sort of certain levels of responsibility, but also you're restricted in your, not the responsibilities, but like in your ability to enforce sort of your opinion and stuff. So it's kind of like, can we do this? And everyone's like, yeah. But then nobody does it. And you've no way of making people do it apart from just nattering. Like, how's that experience? I mean, obviously that will get better as you get more experience behind you. But like, to begin with, there is always that as you go into the workforce, other people are just kind of, you don't know, you know, you've only been here for 5 minutes. I mean, are you finding a lot of that, or is it just kind of here and there?
So I'm getting a lot of that because I'm only in like once a week. There's only so much that I can do myself. Like if I was there 5 days a week, then it's a lot easier for me to like choose like who does what. But the thing is with the company that I'm at, it's like when it comes to social media, it's like you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and everyone's logged in on their phones and laptops. So if they have something to post, they just post it. And we created like a little, like me and the other person who's doing an internship, we created like a little, like a guideline for social media. And we said, first you need to post a picture, and then you can post another picture, and then post a graphic. And that just got thrown out the window, and they posted 3 graphics at the same time. And we do bring it up whenever we're there, but there's only like so much we can do. It is like difficult, I guess. It feels like, you know, like because me and the other intern are younger. We're 2021 and everyone else is at least like above 25. And 25 is not old by any means, but it's still a lot. They have a lot more experience, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to like say like, oh, hi, we know what we're doing. You don't know what you're doing, so listen to us. It just doesn't make a lot of sense for them, I guess.
Yeah.
They are trying. They're definitely trying, but it's just a bit of a weird experience.
But it's new practices, it's new ways of working that people have to adopt, and that takes time to kind of, but it's like any new behaviors, isn't it? It takes time to sort of develop them. And then if you're only going in sort of once a week, it's going to take a long time for you to kind of have that effect. I mean, you're obviously not finding it massively frustrating. Like,
it's like
you kind of expect it to some degree then.
Yeah, because I understand that it's going to take a lot of time to like slowly transition into like doing things the proper way. Because once you've like got into the routine of just doing whatever you want, it's a bit more difficult to like get into a new routine. Like I can definitely understand that. But I think the company that I'm with, they're really like good with like taking on new ideas, and I can definitely see that they are trying. It's just like, it's going to take a few tries for it to get like fully there. But it is slowly working out. Like I've asked them, can you please take portrait and landscape pictures? And today they've got an event and they've sent both today, which is great. So I definitely know that they're slowly getting there. It just takes a little bit of like prodding, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you have to do any of the social media or marketing for your radio show? I guess you do some.
So when I was in my placement, I did do it, but now that I'm doing things as a radio host, I don't do anything with like the social media because I'm just there for my radio show, and like the social media and that sort of stuff. That's like all like within the office, and it's separate. It's completely separate to like the DJ booth, I guess. But all I do is I come in for the radio show like 2 minutes before it starts, and then leave as soon as I pop the news break on, and just leave. And then the other person comes in. Now that I'm a radio DJ, all I'm doing is DJing. I'm not doing any of the other stuff. But when I was like doing my placement there, I was doing both. But yeah, so I'm not doing any of that now. And they've kind of like just reverted back to the old way that they've been doing things, just posting whatever they wanted. And so it's difficult, I guess, because once you create the routine for them and you leave, there's no like you don't really have any like control over whether they're going to actually do it. But
That's not up to you then,
yeah,
is it? So you've
yeah,
gone.
yeah. 'Cause at the end of the day, it's none of my business. Like if you don't want to do it, I've like left like the tools for you to do it, but you don't want to do it. It's up to you at that point, isn't it? But yeah, they're very like stuck to like how they did things before. And whenever like I suggested something new, they didn't really like be on board with it, I guess. But it's just one of those things because some places are just like that. They just want to like keep to what they're doing.
Yeah. I would say most places are like that.
Yeah.
Even the ones that say, "Oh, we're all innovative and we do this, that."
Yeah.
And so often you'll go in and you'll find that it's like, "Oh, well, are you ready to do all these things?" And they're like, "We'll do that one. We'll leave the others."
Yeah.
Like, I thought you wanted change, but yeah. Okay, so we'll do COVID. I think this will be quite a short one for you. So were you working at that point? Like,
No, not all. The only thing that I was doing was henna, which I was doing a bit more frequently before COVID, like Eid and stuff, and like wedding parties. But I stopped during COVID because obviously I didn't want to be around people because I've got people in my family who have like celiac disease and stuff like that. So obviously it's dangerous for me to like be interacting with people outside of my household. So I completely stopped during COVID, and I think I only started again last year in December. But my first client was in January of this year, since like, the whole like COVID thing started. So it's been like, to be honest, I don't like mind like not doing henna at all because it's just one of those practices because it's very like in the community, and you'll go to a complete stranger's house and then they'll ask you, "Oh, where are you from in Pakistan? Can you give me a discount because you're from the same village?" So it's very much like that. And like, I was happy to like be away from it, I guess.
yeah.
But like I've not gone to any like parties or anything like that since I started again. So I'm thankful for like COVID for giving me that kind of break, I guess. But beyond that, I've not like worked. But
what about the shipping? Your importing, exporting, was that had that finished already? Had you given up with that, or was that
so during COVID, I think I did it for about a year, I think, but it was just pretty much the same. In fact, it had actually increased because like the artists that I was following, they stopped doing like in-person events. And instead what they did was they released millions and millions of things. So there was like a lot to like purchase because they were obviously like making up for their lack of like concert revenue and tour revenue and stuff like that. And that like meant there was a lot more things for like people to buy.
Yeah.
They had this thing. So when they released an album, they had like fan signings. And what they ended up doing is they did fan calls. So like a FaceTime call instead. And the thing is, with FaceTime calls, they don't really need to put a lot of work into it. They can do it from like just where they're at. Yeah. And because of that, they decided instead of doing 5 fan signs, why do we do 50 fan calls? So it was increased and it just got like a lot. There was like a lot going on. And then because of that, I stopped collecting and I stopped like doing like the whole thing because it just wasn't interesting for me. Like I was spending so much money. It was unbelievable. And when I think about it, it just wasn't making sense to me to like blow my money like that because when COVID started, it's the year I first went to uni. So my first year of uni basically. And when I got my student finance, it just went straight away because I was like, let me buy this and this and this. And it was just, it wasn't feasible at all. Yes. So I completely stopped after about a year. And I've just like got like a bunch of things and I packed everything away into like 4 boxes and they're just lying around the house.
Had you worked before that? Had you ever worked like in family businesses or like, because when I was little, like my first job, I went out, my dad was a milkman for a bit and I went out and helped him on the milk run when I was like 13, 14 or whatever. And then like did a couple of other things before I started in a paid job. So I had some kind of previous work experience, but like to go straight into sort of shipping things and doing quite big trades. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen the business, but from what you said, it sounds like, I mean, that's quite a thing, people make entire big businesses out of that kind of thing. So to be running that at that age, I mean, did you have any support with it, or is it all just intuitive for you?
No, so I've not done like any like work experience at all,
Hmm.
like family or anything. It just wasn't something that I was interested in.
Mm.
And thankfully my family, like back then, they were like just focused on like your school and stuff.
Hmm.
And because I'm actually going to be the first person in my extended family to finish university.
Hmm.
So it's,
Congratulations.
thank you very much. It's very much focused on your education, and then like when you're a bit older and you can handle having a job, you can get a job.
Mm.
Like now I'm getting pressure to like get a job and everything. So now it's like that, but back then it wasn't. So I didn't have any experience.
Mm.
But the thing is, like with my collecting little business thing, it wasn't actually a business because I wasn't earning anything
Mm.
when it came to like group orders, because the group orders were just a way of um so selfishly, it was a way for me to get things without having
Yeah,
to pay
yeah.
like loads of money for like customs fees.
Mm.
Because I remember the first time I bought something on my own,
Mm.
it ended up costing me £60 when the actual thing only cost £20.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's just better for me this way to like get things that I want. But with like reselling my stuff,
Mm.
that's where I like made a little bit of money and stuff.
Mm.
Because when I wanted to get things like if I wanted to get tickets to go somewhere or
Mm.
books, when I would just take out my cards and I would just sell off the cards,
Mm.
because it was just like a convenient way for me to like get things. And then like a few months later, I would just go out and buy the cards again. So it was like the cards were always there, and it wasn't like they were very rare. So you could
Mm.
just get them back easily.
Just on COVID, because I normally ask sort of how it's changed people's work and their ways of working. Because for most people, it's kind of like, well, for most people that I've interviewed, and obviously I'm online, so most of the people that I get are online-ish people. And it's mostly like, oh, I was working remotely, and that wasn't really seen as feasible before. I mean, obviously it's hard for you to sort of tell, but what do you think COVID changed for you in terms of work, or your thinking about work? Has it impacted, do you think?
My experience with COVID has not been through work. It's been through like university and things like
Mm.
that. And I definitely thought that I preferred like learning in person.
Mm.
But I guess like what you said before, like it's just like opened a whole new world, I guess.
Mm.
And with a lot of jobs, especially some that I want to get into, like with marketing and stuff, like at my current workplace, some people are still working from home,
Mhm.
and they are doing like marketing, and they are doing things that you wouldn't think that they'd be able to do like from home.
Mhm.
So it has been interesting, I guess, to just see that
Mm.
and just know that it is like it is possible for me to do if I wanted to.
Mm.
Um, but I'm definitely someone who prefers like a more busy environment.
Mm.
Like I want to work like at a big company where it's a lot of people and a lot of things going on. Because I just feel like I work better in those type of environments.
Mhm.
But yes, I do wish I could get paid for like blinking or something like that.
Mm.
But it's just not like fun for me to do, I guess. Like I
Mm.
do want to like be engaged like a bit more, and I want to be around people,
Mm.
because I've spent like so long just at home with my family, like all the time.
Mhm.
Like like I do want to like get that experience of being more social.
Mhm.
It is definitely like an option.
Mhm.
But for me, I definitely prefer how things were like pre-COVID,
Mm.
or like now, I guess, for most people.
In your mind, your plan, like, are you thinking of going down to London? Because that would be sort of, even a few years ago, that would kind of be the obvious thing of like, well, that's where most of the media jobs are. But obviously with like Channel 4 coming to Leeds, there's the Media City in Manchester. There is more sort of jobs, I suppose, up here. Um, like, is that a consideration, or are you just like, I want to stay at home, I want to be, around family, I want to be based here, I don't want to be traveling backwards and forwards, or are you kind of like, eager to get into the big city and meet loads of people there? Like, what's your thinking?
So at first, I definitely was like I want to go to uni like down south, and I want to get a job down south. But like in terms of like uni, when I actually visited the uni that I was going to go to, and like actually saw it, and I was like, okay, this is like, I went to college right opposite my uni, and so even though like the location was the same, it just felt like a whole new like a whole new place to me. I felt like you don't even know Leeds because you're like stuck in your own part, and once you go to a different part, it just feels like a whole new world, I guess. And it was like, oh my God, there's like this whole thing going on, and I didn't even know about it. And I think like growing up in Leeds, you feel like it's like small, but when you actually go out and you actually see that people are coming here rather than like us going out, and you feel like, oh, Leeds is actually, it's something like it's getting there. And especially with like Channel 4 and like the media city and everything like that, like I definitely feel like it's the place to be, I guess. Because I went to a masterclass a couple of weeks back, just talking about how there are like more media jobs and stuff in the north, and you don't need to go to the south, like be in media. So I think that's definitely something that is calling to me, I guess. Like I'm very like proud to be like from the north, and I definitely do want to stay here. And I'm very much like into like culture, so like my own culture, and also like my culture as like someone who's from the north. And I guess I want to like stay here, like not necessarily like in Leeds, but maybe like around Leeds, like Manchester, Sheffield, like that sort of thing. Because there is like a lot going on, and yeah.
How do you feel about a commute? Have you done a sort of commute yet?
So in terms of commute, it's one thing that I am like dreading if I do end up getting a job like a little further away. And I feel like it's not worth it for me to move out and spend all that extra money, like renting a place, because at home I don't like I pay like a maximum of like 150 a month, like to apart with like bills and stuff. But beyond that, I'm not really like paying anything. So it's not worth it like me moving out. And I have experienced the commute to like Manchester, because I did like work experience a few years back. And I'm assuming now it's going to be even worse with like train strikes and things like that. But I think it's worth it for me to stay in the north, because I know like in the south, like the commute's awful as well. So it's definitely the same everywhere, I think. But in terms of commuting, I'm happy to commute. And I think like yeah, it is like it might be a little like a waste of time for some people, I guess. But I think it's worth it, depending on like your situation.
So yeah, so we'll do Brexit. Again, this might be a short answer, but we might diverge into various different things. The question again is normally like, how has Brexit changed your work? For some people, because it happened during, sort of in the midst of COVID. For some people, it's like, I can't tell any difference. For some people, it's like, yeah, there's been these things. I don't necessarily know how you want to approach this or think about it, but yeah, has Brexit sort of changed your work at all in any ways that you can tell?
Truthfully, I have zero idea, because from like my experience, it's not affected me like directly, especially with like work and stuff. It's not affected me at all. So there's not much that I can say to that, because it's genuinely like not affected me. And if it has affected me, I'm not sure like how it has affected me. But so I can't give like much of an answer to that.
You didn't have any plans to be like a political reporter in Paris for 5 years or anything?
No, like my plan has always been to like stay in the UK.
Yeah.
Because I do actually enjoy it here.
Okay, we'll do climate change. In your work, what can you do to mitigate or raise awareness around climate change? And are there any ways that you think it's kind of affecting your work that you've noticed?
So in terms of affecting my work, I've not noticed anything. But it's funny that you do mention that, because last week during my show, I was on a rant about how you need to save the planet. But it is something that I do bring up, especially on like my radio show, like quite a lot, because like the target the audience of that show, they're not like, it's a South Asian show.
Mhm.
So it's very much targeted towards the South Asian community. And being in the South Asian community, I know that a lot of people, they could not like give a care about climate change.
Mm.
And like, I am like using my show to like try and get more people aware, get them to be like more sustainable, things like that. So in my internship, the company I work for is a very a green company, I guess I would say. They're very like
Yeah.
sustainable, and they have like a plan to be carbon net zero or something like that. It's something like that.
Yeah.
And then they do like terracycling and things like that, and it's just they take it very like seriously with the whole like recycling and being sustainable where they can. And I think that's very different for me to be in like that kind of environment, because the community that I'm from, they'll put things in the green bin, but they won't do anything like beyond that. Like, so like experiencing that is like new for me, I guess. And it is like encouraging me to be like more, like be more aware of like how much like waste I'm producing and just things like that, I guess.
How has this year kind of impacted that? I mean, because you said your family from Pakistan.
Yeah.
You're from Pakistan heritage-wise. Like, I mean, there's a third of the country underwater now. That's pretty significant. I mean, has that impacted you at all? Like,
so in terms of like myself and like my family, maybe the area that my family live in weren't affected by the floods, as far as I know. Like, my family was in Pakistan in the holidays and they were okay, I guess. But it has been like very, very shocking. It did make us all quite upset, because it's just like, there's like so many lives lost, so many animals, so many like just so much culture lost, I guess, because of the floods. And it does like give you that shock, I guess. And that's like the reason that I've been like trying to bring more awareness to it, because a lot of people don't realize. And like there are some people who say like, oh, it's all these like big corporations who are like making most of like the emissions, and they're the ones who are causing this. And what we do, like a paper straw isn't going to do anything. And like, while it's like, you can like get that sentiment, but in some cases a paper straw might be what tips the scale, I guess, for some things. Well, I have been like trying to bring more awareness to it, but it's like a brick wall sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do it all by yourself. I mean, you know, it's until the media really starts to take it seriously, nobody will take it seriously. And it's the media that's delayed action for 30 years, you know, as much as the oil companies are terrible. So universal basic income, have you come across this before? Are you aware of universal basic income?
So before you sent me those questions, I had absolutely no idea. And I did do a quick Google search. So I kind of know like what's going on, but not an awful lot.
I mean, it's a way that the question's a way of promoting the idea of universal basic income, because I think we need to do something. And another way of asking the question, like, if money was no object, what would you do with your life? But yeah, so if there was a universal basic income, if you were getting paid enough that you could pay your rent, so not your current rent, but living independently, pay your rent, pay your bills, get by, but not loads of money, so that you're not going to buy a Lamborghini or anything. But you can still work, you can still earn money. So if your sort of basic needs were met in that way, do you think you would still work? Do you think you would still work kind of full time, or all the hours that you would have to work, you know, starting in journalism to kind of work your way up and prove that you were serious? And yeah, how do you think it would change the way that you work and your attitude to work, basically?
So in terms of like how much I would work, I'm very much for the whole 4-day working week type of thing. So I think that it's like a nice balance. And like with like journalism, it's a lot of work, especially like when you start, because they expect you to like be there all the time. Like, I got told, if the company that you're working for is doing a morning show, go to the morning show. morning shows start at 5 a.m. and that's just not for me, but they'd expect you to like go there just like show like you're actually interested. And like, whilst I am interested, I'm not that interested. Like I'd be willing to like sacrifice my sleep. So 5 days a week to go and watch the morning show being made. But if like my basic needs were met, I think that I would still definitely like have a go at being a journalist, because it has been like my dream for so long. And truthfully, because I have like experience like working in like that sort of environment, like through uni, because we have like days where we like create like a mock newsroom and we do like a not a 9 to 5, it's a 9 to 3, but like, you know, it's still around the same. But I have like really enjoyed like working like in that kind of environment. And it's definitely like something that I do want to do, like regardless of whether like my needs are met or they're not met. But I think the idea is really, really nice. And it would make life a lot easier for a lot of people, because there are a lot of people like stuck working in jobs that they don't really have a choice to work. And yeah, so it's like a nice idea, because I know like a lot of people who are working jobs that they don't necessarily want to be working, but they've got mouths to feed, rent to be paid. So it's like, yeah.
If you could change any 3 things about your work, any of the work that you've been doing, what would they be? And like, so what would you change about how you work and what you expect from work, I guess?
So like how I mentioned before, like I really want to work in like more of a bustling environment. Like, I want people around me. I want to have lunchtime gossip, and I want that kind of environment. But that's only because I've not experienced that kind of environment. So maybe like if I do go into that environment, like my views might change. I might prefer like more of a mellow thing. But I definitely want to like experience both things before deciding what I actually want. Which is like the main reason that I want to go into like a big company, because I might find that working in a small place was better for me and better for me as a person, because sometimes I am quite what's the word? Just like keeping to myself, I guess.
Introverted.
Yeah, that's the right word. But yeah, I think that's one thing that I would change. I don't really know what else I would change.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's, I was thinking before as well when you were talking, because quite often now we'll talk about sort of work-life balance and all the mental well-being kind of stuff. But I think it's hard, you know, like when you're young, you're starting in work, like it's hard to sort of, but it's hard to even, reflecting on my own experience, it's like most of the time, the thing that I'm most concerned about when I was in work when I was younger was getting out of work. So I could go see my friends and hang out and do various stuff. And, you know, the work was there to give me the money for it. You know, it's only in the last few years that I've thought about, you know, how I like to work, what kind of work I want to be doing, and have some idea, not just like, I want to work like this, but based on actual how I've worked and my experience and what I do and don't like in practice. I think that's really hard to kind of have an idea of initially, because you're just like, well, yeah, a lot of it's expectation. I think there's the way you're imagining work to be. And to a certain degree, I think you're in this space where you're kind of like waiting for that to materialize. But I think, you know, expectation, reality, they hardly meet straight on, do they?
Yeah. It's like a bit weird for me, because my friends have been working since they were 17, 18, and I've just got my first job, I guess, like first paying job after I've turned 20, 21. And it is like very different, because I do like relate to what you said about how when I was unfortunately jobless and unemployed, my friends were all working and I could never like get the time to see them. And because like on top of like working, they're also at uni, they're doing night shifts, they're doing all sorts, and it's like, where do you find the time? So I think that's definitely one thing that I agree with, because we'll find, so my main friend group is we're like three people, and when 2 people are free, the other one's doing a night shift, and it's just like, where do you find the time? But I think that's I think that's definitely something that I might be able to answer in about 10 years time when I've got a bit more experience about like what I like and don't like, I guess.
I mean, I know this is really early in your career sort of thing. So, I don't want to obviously get you to say anything that you're going to kind of hinder yourself with, but just starting in work, I mean, what are the things that you're finding that you're liking and the things that you're not liking? I think, because I know I used to ask people, like the change question was a way of trying to ask people what they didn't like about their job without saying, what do you not like about your job? So, I mean, so your sort of first impressions on work, just so that I can get an idea of kind of how you're finding it and what are the things that you're liking and what are the things that, because some things that you might not like, it's like, oh, I have to turn up at 9 and it's just arbitrary, like, So yes, what's your take?
Yeah, so the 9 thing is definitely one of them because I'm not a morning person at all. Like I'm like when I'm doing like my own like assignments and stuff, I'm very much a let's start at midnight and then go until 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm that kind of person. So it's been a change, like waking up at 7 o'clock to eat and get dressed, commute to work. It's different for me because even I don't have classes that start at 9 o'clock. I've not woken up at 9 o'clock since it's been a while, so it's different.
Do you wake up in work or before you get to work? Like, do you have to get into work and then it's like, and then you wake up? Or?
Definitely before I get to work because just because I spend so much time like getting ready to like leave the house. So it's like I'm obviously going to be like awake by then because I can't like leave the house without eating breakfast. Like, especially when I'm going for like a long day out, I need to eat. So like, that's my time to wake up, I guess. But I guess I'd say like one thing that I don't necessarily like and I would like to be changed is, I feel like this is very specific to the company that I'm currently working at. But they have like team lunch on Wednesdays every week. And I'm a very, very, very picky eater. Like I do not eat like 99% of what other people are able to eat. I am so picky, it is unbelievable. And I absolutely hate team lunches because I just feel like, so last week I had to like force myself to eat a little bit because I was like, I don't want to be rude. But then this week, so I was at work yesterday and I just didn't eat. And I was like I can't eat it. Like nothing that I could do about it. And it's like, if I put something in my plate and I put like a spoonful of food, I feel like that's rude as well. So it's like, what's the balance of what can I actually do? But I am grateful because my colleagues at work are really understanding and they don't like force me to do anything. So, but it just feels like you feel a bit left out, I guess. So it's like, okay.
I mean, can't you pick like a beverage and maybe a toasty or something? Go for something bland and safe. Just have that.
It's like someone in the team does the cooking.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Then that's really difficult to be like, oh, I don't want it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it feels like I'm like attacking them for their cooking. And it's like, I'm sorry. It's like, it's genuinely, it's just me. But the week that I was supposed to cook, they thought I wasn't here. So they took me off the rota. And when I came in that day, they were like, what? And I was like, because I was excited to actually eat something that I could eat. I made it myself. And I will be like picky with it. But then it turns out I'm off the rota. So I was like, okay. So it has been like difficult because it feels rude if you like go off and eat your own food. And what I just had was like a breakfast bar. And I felt weird just eating it at the table whilst all having a couscous and curry. And I'm just there like with my little brunch bar and a packet of crisps. And it's just like, they don't say anything, but I still feel like, okay.
Okay, so I've done most of my questions. Oh yeah, we haven't done the good bits. I mean, I suppose you mentioned some good bits as we've gone through, but yeah, like what surprised you about work? What have you found, or have you found anything that yet that's like, oh, this is something that I enjoy that nobody told me about? Has there been anything like that yet? I suppose the radio experience was a big one there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the radio, I guess one thing I enjoy is like being able to do whatever I want.
Mm.
And the only restrictions for the show is like, don't be sexist, don't be racist, don't be homophobic. And that's just like your basic principles as a human. So it's like beyond that, there's also like, don't be like too political, I guess.
Yeah, don't swear on the the regulated airways.
Yeah, and it's just
Swear
like
as much as you want on this.
Yeah. So, so it's like it's really cool to just like do whatever I want and just do it, I guess. And like first when I started, I was like because it's a 2-hour show, I was like, can I actually like talk for like 2 hours straight? And first it was like difficult for me to like find things to talk about, but now that I'm like into the groove of it, I'm just like just getting used to it. Because when I first started, what I would do is I'd spend like an hour the day before finding every single song, finding out when the song started, when it ended, and writing down a list of topics I want to talk about. But now I've stopped that. But like I would like plan super like meticulously, and when I look back, I was like, girl, you're just wasting your time. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then I guess in terms of like my internship, one thing I enjoy is like learning like how they just like trust me to like get on and do things. Like, cause it's not like something that I'm used to, I guess. Because like with uni and stuff, you have like quite regular check-ins and
it's very much feedback based. It's like there always has to be a level of critique at least, where they're like, oh, that was really good, this was strong, that was poor, you need to change this, you need to do that. Whereas with work, it's more like, yeah, you did it, well done, next day.
Yeah. I'm like, like I actually feel like it's really weird. So yesterday I asked for like a meeting and I said, can you give me feedback on this? Cause I was like, cause I feel like, she goes that it was good, but I was like, like what if there's like something that can be changed? And it's like, oh, like, do you actually trust me to do this?
Yeah.
Cause I don't really have like an awful lot of experience with it, I guess. And I just find it so weird that they just like trust me to like do it and like do it in like, a good way, I guess. But I guess that's like a nice feeling, like just knowing that they like trust you to like get on and do with it. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, you won't find that everywhere.
Yeah. Cause I think that the company that I'm with, they're very like mellow and chill, I guess. And I do enjoy that, but I feel like, like if I eventually go to like a bigger company, that won't be there anymore. That won't be there anymore.
You think you're ready for the stress and the high pressure and
like where I'm working now, you could show up in like joggers and they don't really like care. But I feel like, that won't fly with like some companies. Well, that's like, I guess one thing that I might miss about working there. But yeah.
In your head canon of my career, like what happens? Like, are you winning the Pulitzer or are you just like local champion, or how do you imagine in it?
This is like such a weird question.
I know it's a silly thing,
but when people like, they ask me like, who's like your journalism role model? Like, I don't have one. And I didn't choose journalism because of someone. It's like, I think what I love is the idea of like journalism, like going out and like finding stories, getting the bad guys, like that kind of thing. And I guess like now my focus is like finding stories about the community. I'm very much into like human interest stories and like, like focusing on like the UK as like a multicultural space and just like looking into that, I guess, because I feel like when you actually look at it, there's so many like untold stories and I just want to go out and find them. Like, how you have those like people of New York and people of London, that type of thing. And I really want to like put that into like journalism, but just getting different voices in there, I guess. But,
humanize the machine.
Yeah. Because I feel like the way that the media is right now, I don't like love it.
No.
and there's like so much changes to be made, but like no one's going to be making these changes.
Mm.
And you know that it's going to be like stuck in like a
Mm.
cycle for a long time.
Mm.
But hopefully being one of the people that pushes some changes into the media again. Yeah.
Mm. So I'm going to pass it over to you to kind of talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. So if you want to promote anything, or like even pitch, like, because you're going to be finishing your course soon, if you want to, in case some random media company's listening. Hire me, I'm amazing. But yeah, so pass it over to you. Is there anything you want to chat about? Anything we've not covered?
Yeah, so maybe I'll chat a bit about my dissertation project with you
Oh
again.
yeah.
Yeah, so with journalism, we have the option. Well, not the option. You have to like do either a documentary. So you have to do either a TV documentary or a radio documentary.
Mhm.
And I've gone with TV documentary.
Mm.
And so I've just got my deadline today about my proposal and things like that. Setting it off last night. So let's hope that goes well. But what I'm hopefully planning to do is a documentary about the clash between cultures. So like South Asian and British culture.
Mhm.
And then like exploring the other side of forced marriage. Cause you know, like have you ever heard about like the whole I think like the rhetoric, I guess, of how if you're South Asian, you're probably going to get into like forced marriage.
Mm.
Have you ever come across that?
But are we making a distinction here between arranged marriage and forced marriage, or are we bunching it all together?
So if you like a separation, because I know like some people that I've spoken to, they think that it's like one and the same thing, and they're like, "Oh, what's the difference?"
Mm.
But there is like a difference, but people don't really know that, and they just like bunch it all together.
Mhm.
But I'm basically creating a documentary about how young South Asian British girls they they actively seek out marriage as a way to achieve freedom from like their restricted households, I guess.
Mm.
Because like one thing that if you're South Asian and you live in Britain and you're a young woman, one thing that you'll definitely hear is like, oh, if you want to travel or if you want to go here or if you want to do this, if you want to dye your hair, wait until after you're married. Because they're like, we don't want you to do that under our roof. So once we pass you off to your husband, you can do whatever you want.
Mm.
It's like that kind of thing. And like I've heard it before and it's like, okay, because I've got a family member. He's my cousin. He's 3 weeks older than me.
Mm.
He has gone traveling alone
Mm.
for like across the world. He's moved out of his family home. He's done all sorts of things, but I was told like you can't even apply to university that's not in Leeds.
Mm.
But it's like, what? And it's just like talking about how do you follow your culture as someone who's British or do you follow your culture as someone who's South Asian and is looking for marriage a way to like combine them both so you get your culture and you get your freedom, I guess.
Mm.
But it's still obviously very much in the early stages, but hopefully I'm going to start filming in December.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I'm currently looking for people to like interview for that. And I've got 2 people down and then I've just got one more person to look for.
Mhm.
But I'm constantly like talking about it on the radio and people are just like, I don't care. And it's like, oh my God, please care. It's like, it's just like a weird topic. And you know, like when you first hear about it, you're like, that doesn't really make sense. But then it makes sense in my head, but I just don't know like how to like put it on the page and put it on the screen. So I am working on that. But yeah.
It's kind of one of those, it sounds like one of those choice of no choice kind of things.
Yeah.
Like, here's your option of no options.
Yeah, it's very much like that. And it's like how do you actually like achieve freedom? Because there are like young girls who get married thinking that they're going to achieve the freedom to like go and do whatever you want. But then you've got your mother-in-law in front of you and it's like what kind of freedom you actually get? You actually just get like stuck into an endless cycle. But first you had your mum like just badgering you, and now you've got your mother-in-law badgering you. So is it just like a cycle?
Mm.
But it's a very like weird thing, and it's very much like stuck in the South Asian community, and it's just like to raise a little bit of awareness again.
Mm. Yeah, and with that, I guess there's a lot of, it's a matter of it's for the individual. It sounds like it's a matter of choice of like, how many battles do I want to fight?
Yeah,
Like, do I want to fight everyone, including my family, like my nearest and dearest? It's sort of, sometimes it's easier just to say yes, isn't it?
yeah.
Go along with it. Yeah, but yeah, that'd be so. In terms of the shoot, will you be doing the camera work and doing all the shoot, or are you getting people in for that?
Yeah.
Or
Self-produced 100%, unfortunately.
yeah,
So I am probably going to get a little help with like going to like see people,
Mhm.
like for interviews and stuff, just because it's not safe sometimes to go on your own, depending on like where you're going.
Mm.
So obviously like not fully alone, but so we've got like a group of people, I guess, and just helping each other out with cameras and stuff.
Mm.
Sometimes it's hard because it's like, what if the camera turns off and I'm not even like looking at the camera, and then I go home and I see that the interview's not recorded, because it has happened before.
Yeah.
And you're just like, there's nothing you can do about it now, because
Nope.
I've had like a time where I've gone to interview someone, forgot to press record, come back to university, and I realized that it's not recorded and it's supposed to go on air in about 45 minutes. So it was like, God, it's about invincible. I think taking someone with you definitely helps with that. But yeah, the editing and everything, it's all on me.
But those sort of things as well, you only, you make those mistakes once or twice, and then
Yeah.
you do. And to some degree, it's good to do that early on. I mean, the first one of these, well, it wasn't the first one, but the first episode, when I was recording that interview, I did exactly the same thing. I turned the guest mic on, and then hadn't turned my mic on. I don't know how to manage that, but fortunately, I was loud enough that was picked up on the other mic. But yeah, these things, they have to happen.
It definitely has happened to everyone at some point, but it's just like making sure that
It's
it
the
doesn't
worst feeling.
happen. Yeah, honestly it is. But hopefully nothing like that happens, because I've got like quite a lot of time to like do it.
Mm.
So just making sure everything's planned correctly.
I mean, what's your thinking on unions? Are you aware of the NUJ, for example? Like, has anyone talked to you? Is this something that's come across your radar at all?
So in terms of like unions, obviously I'm not in any right now, but I do plan to join one for journalism. I don't know if it's like for journalism students or just like journalism in general, but I have been meaning to join that. I've not like come across like a lot of union activities, I guess, but I guess with like, like strikes and stuff, I guess I have come across it in that way. Like I did story on like the university strikes a couple of months back, I think. So I am like definitely aware, and I do think that everyone should join a union, because it's like, that's the only protection you have most of the time. But yeah, I guess. But I was not aware that there was a national union.
National Union of Journalists, NUJ. Yeah. But yeah, I just wondered, I want to kind of bring that in because my background is with unions. So yeah, and I do think it's an important part of work that's kind of not there. And like you say, you don't really have many protections unless you've been paid enough and you can afford legal protection. Oh, do we want to do any socials or anything? Do you want to flag up anything like the show? Should let us know about the show. Give us the details, times and stuff.
Yeah, sure. So my show is every Saturday from 2 to 4 on 107.3 FM.
What's it called?
It's called, like, my actual show is called Madihah's Punjabi Mega Mix, but I am working the name because it was a very last minute name that was not decided by me, unfortunately. So I am slowly trying to get that changed. But yeah, so let's call it Madihah's Mega Mix for now.
Do you have socials for that? Where can people sort of find you, follow you?
Yeah, so I think my only social is my Twitter that I use more often. But my Twitter handle is Madihah S24, which is MADIHAHS24.
So I'm going to thank you on the recording. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you very much for interviewing me.
Thank you again to Madihah for being my guest. Thanks again to all my guests, and thanks to you, Leeds, for being my subject. And of course, most of all, thank you to you, my dear listener. Remember, Leeds, whatever you do, I'd love to hear about it from you. Keeps your eyeballs peeled and your earballs open for the next episode. It will be soon again. That's 4 in 1 week. You owe me a tenner. You can follow the show on Twitter at Working Hours Street and on Instagram at Working Hours Pod Leeds. Use the hashtag Working Hours Pod Leeds to stay up to date on when new episodes are being released. DM me with your questions. Or most importantly, to get in touch if you would like to be my guest on this show. Please do chuck in anything you can to help the show grow. Go to kofi.com/working hours and join me there for £1 a month, or you can make a one-off donation of whatever amount. You can also go to patreon.com/working hours pod to support Working Hours, again from as little as £1 a month. Why not be super awesome and join both? Do something new and something different. Remember to like, share, follow and subscribe to Working Hours. That's me. Cheers, ears. Take care out there and be kind to each other, Leeds. Working Hours is produced, recorded, edited and published by Simon Treen for Western Studios Leeds Limited. The music was The Bees from Chopin's Etudes, which is in the public domain and was taken from museopen.org. Please like Western Studios Leeds on Facebook at facebook.com/Western_Studios_Leeds and on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/company/Western-Studios. Leeds, are you considering taking the plunge into podcasts or audio content? Then think Western Studios for support, advice and guidance on getting it made. At Western Studios, you work with a real-life learner who is actually in Leeds. Not a piece of software, not a course of articles or a series of live chats and video courses, but me, a person in physical place-based reality. If you want to work with me to make your podcast or any digital audio content in Leeds, whether it's for your own cause, your publicity campaigns, to promote your products, increase your sales, or just to create your own passion projects, then get in touch with me, Western Studios, now. Don't wade through vapid articles and videos and podcasts about how to make podcasts by disembodied virtual people on the web. Get on with making your podcast now, and then when it gets hard and expensive and it all goes wrong, which it will, then call Western Studios to make your podcast with you or even for you. Western Studios will take on your podcast's boring, time-consuming and painful admin, recording, editing, transcription, whatever. Tell me about your podcasting pain points and I can make it all better for you. I feel your pain. For a charge, I will share it. Remember, podcast work is work. Leeds businesses, Leeds campaigns, Leeds brands. Got an inkling that you'd like a podcast but don't know where to start? Contact Western Studios at makemypodcast@western-studios.com and we'll start making your podcast straight away. The first hour of arranged consultation and pre-production time is free. £25 an hour after that for editing, recording, production. I can also arrange hefty discounts for the right project. So tell me your idea and your budget and I'll tell you what I can do for you. What do you have to lose? Time. That's what. Time is running out. The best time to make a podcast was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. Writers in Yorkshire, what are you doing with your lives? Hopefully you're writing. Well, I know there are listeners out there who want to hear great original writing performed as audio content that is about and for and has been made in Leeds. How do I know this? Because I'm one of them loiners what wants it. Help me make your old screenplays, unpublished novels, unperformed plays, stories, poems, and performances, whatever you got, baby, and make it as podcast content. Is your work arty, salacious, pulpy, strange? Good. Is it unfinished? Good. I can help you with that too. I can work with you to find actors, musicians, and voiceover artists and quickly realize your projects. I get practice making the shows and you get a finished, performed and published version of your writing. Save yourself the hassle and the headache of making your podcasts on your own by working with me instead.